Hey everyone, welcome to Grain Therapy, the woodworking podcast where we discuss our passions, methods, and personal growth as we build our woodworking businesses. This week, Brian and I catch up on shop project updates, and we go into a long sales talk about cold calling versus direct inquiries, our marketing and sales history for the life of our businesses, and selling products that we haven't made before. Finally, I wrap up with a target customer meltdown, and Brian brings me back to earth. This podcast can be found anywhere you like to listen. If you find value in it, please leave us a comment or review. In addition, following this podcast, find us at Bossman's Boutique and at Whiskey Woodshop to see our projects from start to finish. So sit back and watch, listen while you work, or put us on in the background. Either way, we hope you enjoy.
How's your week?
It was good. And that's why I drink. What are you drinking? I've got New Riff single barrel. We don't have to start everyone like this, but I enjoy asking a question.
Yeah, I've got the same drink that I had a couple weeks ago, so it's mostly Bacardi Limon. There's some grenadine. Why can't I think of it? Amaretto and sour.
Nice.
Sweet. Yeah, just nice sweet.
Back at it.
Yep.
Yeah, so my week was pretty good. Got a decent amount done. Started on the not a barn door that I'm working on. White oak glue up. So that's nice to work with white oak again. Every time I leave a wood for a while and then come back to it, it's like, hey, I forgot. Like there was a minute there where I wasn't working with walnut for a month or two. Mm-hmm. And then the first piece of walnut I cut, it was like, oh my goodness. Like it hits you. So, yeah. I mean, you work with a bunch of species all the time, so you probably don't have as many lulls in like the amount of time that you have cutting different. But
yeah, I mean, I definitely noticed like, usually I'll go through like a phase, like this time I'm doing Purdue, Purple Heart, Maple, and Walnut, and I just stick to those four, and then I'll jump over to something else.
Yeah.
It's that same like, white oak. That's got some nice like porous feel to it.
It's so different. Yeah.
Yeah. And then walnut's kind of, that rich smell that you just know it's walnut.
It's like they all have their own like character in a way and like personality. It sounds weird to talk about, but like I feel like you could do like in those kids movies how like each vegetable is a different emotion or something. Like each wood is like walnut is like the color orange, and then like I don't know, like everything's like different.
Should come up with a chart and see if we agree.
A pie chart of wood species or something.
Yeah.
That's funny. But yeah, it's nice to work with white oak again. Just especially with the new shop hours I've got in place, I'm more impatient with myself during the shop, but then I'm learning how to just chill through it better. So like I had to flip planer blades the other day, and it took it takes me like 30 minutes ish, like to do it right and clean, and like I clean out the whole inside too, so I'm just like pissed because I'm losing 30 minutes or an hour of my shop time. But then it's like this shop time, like then I start cutting and it just cuts like butter, and it's way cleaner, and it's way better. So just trying to keep up with all that. And I've also been in my non-shop hours, we are kind of finishing the other stall. So my shop is in the north stall of my garage. And so it's a 2-car garage. And luckily it has 2 doors with like a post in the center. So I was able to put up a wall to divide the garage into 2. And I've fully insulated and conditioned my shop. I did that last year. And then my wife's garage stall where she parks, that had like the wheelbarrow and rakes and junk because we don't have a shed yet. So it was always kind of piled with stuff, and I didn't insulate that yet. So I had the one wall insulated that shared my shop wall, but not the ceiling or the back walls or front wall. So insulated that in the last week, and then started putting up drywall, and that now it's already actually starting to feel like a garage. So then I put some shelves up, just 2x4 shelves, classic like garage feel with some plywood, like OSB on them, mindless type stuff. But this doesn't take out of my shop hours technically because it's for the house. So
Mm-hmm.
I can still make more and get the hit of actually creating something. And then because we're prepping for a Halloween party, so
Okay.
we're trying to have a space out there that people can hang out, a space, in all the different rooms of the house where people can gather. So trying to make that not a shithole. And so that was what I was doing right before this, just cleaning up the garage. And it's kind of everything being organized is coming together to kind of soothe all of the anxieties about speed or anything because I know where everything is. But the key to that, and the reason why I mentioned it, is I had a red Craftsman toolbox just for, like mechanics types tools, one of
Yeah.
those boxes in my shop. And I kind of built the area of shelves in the back of my shop around that and a little file cabinet for like receipts and junk sandpaper. So my friend at work talked me into moving the Craftsman work like toolbox out of the shop
Mm-hmm.
because my tools they're not really well organized in there. The drawers are pretty small and skinny, and they're fine,
Yeah.
but it's not made for that. So I put that in the main stall, in the actual parking stall, and then I'll put just house tools that we need for our normal life in there. And then the new workbench I'm working on is going to have a bunch of drawers in it that can take everything that was in that Craftsman, and then I'll have a
Awesome.
spare corner for I'll either hang the dust collector there that I'm planning on getting in the next year, like 2024 ish, and then I can route everything, or I'll do some like scrap storage, or I'll come up with something efficient for that corner. So
What dust collector are you looking at?
I don't probably one of those like Dust Right ones from Rockler or something.
Okay.
I don't need a long run, like probably 20 feet with
Sure.
like 3 drops, like one for a table saw, and then I can have the planer jointer probably share one because I have
Mm-hmm.
those under my bench. They slide under, and I just pull each one out as I need them
Yeah,
because I'm
that's gonna be
fairly tall.
make such a huge difference for you.
Oh my goodness! And then probably one for the miter. So I probably have one on the miter, a mobile one where I can pop it either onto the planer or jointer, and then one for the table saw. And then
Awesome.
that table saw one could probably take a future bandsaw or another tool if pop on and off
Mm-hmm.
there. So
Mm-hmm.
that would be ideal. That would save my life probably, probably days or years of it, and also just help with time to clean up and all that junk. So yeah.
Yeah. So man, dust collectors are one of those things that I've found that you have to use the one that you have for a while to figure out what it's even capable of. I've
Mhm.
never I've never witnessed, at least this is for myself and some other people I know who've gotten them, that you're like, oh, I'm gonna get this dust collector and it's gonna be these 3 drops, and then it just
Mhm.
works that way.
Yeah.
So especially like with I don't know what the horsepower is on that Rockler one, but
Mhm.
anticipate that it might be that you might only be able to connect it to one thing, and you
Right.
might just have to move what that's connected to instead of having drops.
Yeah. 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 And that's fair too. I could always put it on a cart too because this one's on ground
Yeah,
level.
there you go. Hmm.
I left one area of my shop, kind of the top corner. If you've seen like the back of my shop at the top left corner, I left that open with the intent to hang a dust collector up
Yeah,
there,
sweet.
but I can't reach up there, and they're all switched. Now I've heard that you can get these kits with like you can get a remote kit basically, and you just hook it to that switch, and then you can control it from down below.
Yeah,
But as soon as you like, I got dust collector on my list, right? And now I have, okay, I need to rewire it. I need to run all the drops. And so it's like, it just adds one extra step that makes me 10 times more timid to just do it,
sure.
where I guarantee it would be fine. I get it set up and everything. But
Yeah.
also taking the bag down from up there when it gets full is going to be annoying. So trying to think of a better use of that space, I guess. But
Yeah. You're thinking about all the right things. I wish
yeah.
I could. I wish I could provide more insight, but I've just had terrible luck with dust collectors.
I mean, there are two that I'm looking at, and they're just both wall mount with a drop down bag and a big head filter.
Yeah.
And I was just gonna buy the bigger of the two and hope,
Okay.
like
Yeah.
just don't wimp out when it comes to horsepower, but just
Mm-hmm.
Needs to be the right size for the package, and then
Yeah.
hopefully run multiple lines, so I don't have to always move it. That
Yeah.
would be
Yeah. Then try it and see how it goes.
yeah. But
Hell
halfway
yeah.
through, what was that?
I said, hell yeah. That's
Yeah,
super
hell yeah.
exciting. That's like such a good feeling when you finally have one of those in your shop.
The problem is it's not a sexy tool to buy,
Mm-mm. No,
and so yeah, I've been I've almost bought a bunch of other tools so many times. I almost bought this bandsaw, this nice like 16-inch jaw or throat bandsaw like a month ago, and I was like about to go. I was like on the way to go get it off Marketplace. It was a decent deal, and I might have already told you this. You can stop me if I did, but
I don't remember.
I like had to turn around and convince myself not to because I promised myself the next big tool I buy is a dust collector, and
Okay.
I cannot keep ignoring it because it's just not healthy and it's not smart.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, it's just
Yeah, it's well worth it, but I totally agree. It's not a sexy purchase, and there's yeah, it's like every tool right now, especially you're not getting started, you're past that, but like gathering all of like the first time you're getting a serious tool, it's like each time you get one of those, it's like so much more capability. And no,
oh
this has nothing to do with capability. It's just
no.
safety that if you,
Mm,
anywhere you look on the internet, yeah, everybody agrees it's nice to have a dust collector and it's good for you, but to what extent it actually makes a difference, it just seems like a way up
sure.
in the air topic, which again could be argued because yeah, was it 0.2 micron or 2 micron is where you should go down that far, otherwise you're doing a lot of damage.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like
How? Yeah.
yeah, if I've got a mask on too and that's rated for that, then I should be okay. But could talk
Yeah.
about it all day and still not know how you want to handle it.
And like it's such a long term thing too. Like you don't see effects for a long time, and you don't. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. So many
Mm-hmm.
people. I think I do fairly good with my mask, but I also stop. Like I get annoyed wearing it. I wear a
Mm-hmm.
3M paint respirator a lot,
Yeah.
and it's a full face. It's fairly comfortable. I think it works well. I,
Mm-hmm.
but when I blow up the shop, if I'm like all of a sudden I need to cut MDF, like
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
table saw. Now the shop's bombed for an hour, until everything settles.
Right. Yeah.
Uh, can't always have the door open too because the door
Mm.
seems to help because things kind of flush out.
And we're in
But
Minnesota, so winter that just isn't fun.
no, it's just
Yeah.
not too many problems. So that's the only scary part of like choosing this as a career path is like the dust, the looming dust. But there are smart choices you can make. They just cost money, like a dust collector. But
Yeah. I most days if I, blow my nose after the end of the day and I don't see dust, I'm like, okay, I did a pretty good job.
nice, yeah, I definitely see dust almost every time.
Every time? Oh man.
Oh,
Okay.
not a lot,
You should
but
get a dust collector.
yeah, I'm like, oh, walnut today. You
Yeah.
know, yeah, no, I see dust a lot. Yeah,
Okay.
and
Well
I
then
know, yeah.
then you know it's getting in your lungs. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I mean, anytime are you breathing near sawdust? It's getting in your lungs, So
Mhm.
uh, it's gonna be my next tool. It just sucks to say that, but
Well,
I'm
cheers
not
to that.
considering my yeah. Cheers to that. Cheers to that. Dust in the lungs. What I'm not considering my next tool is this workbench that I'm doing.
Hmm.
And the more I think about it, it's just an assembly table that's modular, which I knew it was, but it doesn't have all it's not a Rubo workbench where you got
Sure.
all the clamping options and everything. I think I'll be adding dog holes and possibly one of the leg clamps or just like a front clamp.
Yeah.
Um, but I recently watched, and I'm halfway through this workbench build, and you might already have an idea what I'm going to say. I recently watched Pendula Studio, his new workbench that he posted.
Hmm.
You see that?
Hmm.
So for anybody watching in the future, it's just his take on a Rubo workbench. that is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And I'm like halfway through my own workbench. I'm watching this video. I'm like, you idiot! Like you could have done something. But the thing is, he went all out. I wonder how much that cost, and like the actual use versus like, is he gonna want to do a glue up on there? Not really,
Right.
So
Or make sure, yeah, it's covered in paper all the time, which
yeah.
yeah, no, you're not getting to enjoy it.
Yeah, I just do way more glue ups and assemblies than actual, working the wood with
Yeah.
hand planes and the actual more hardcore stuff isn't there yet. So I gotta try to come up with the best of both worlds and just focus on an assembly table right now, and that's fine. But like
Mhm.
watching him build that workbench it was beautiful. It was
You've
nice.
got the rest of your life to do one like that if you want.
Exactly,
Yep. Yeah.
exactly.
Have you seen my workbench?
I think I saw it when I visited your shop, but we didn't spend a lot of time looking at the workbench itself. No.
Sure. Yeah. So it's a beast, and I spent a lot of time on it, and I really wanted to make it look really pretty, but then for the same reason what you brought up, it's like maybe I don't want that because I'm gonna
Yeah.
like use this thing, and so it's just pine, but it's a 4 inch thick top, so I can like keep bringing that surface down as it gets unflat or
Mhm.
gets glue stuck to it. Um, but then I did like the Alm Fab type pattern plywood on the drawer
Oh, yeah,
frame, outlined in maple. And it's got the front vise. I definitely recommend a front vise.
front
So
vise.
the whole front of your table is the actual back side of the vise.
Mhm.
So you don't have one sticking off the front. It's just the table is the back side, and then you just have the front that goes to it. That's
Yep.
been so helpful in like so many situations. So I definitely recommend looking at a vise.
Do you
Um,
use dog holes? Like
I,
pop-up dogs on the front vise to clamp against?
so I do. I haven't found like a whole lot of. I haven't found a whole lot of practical uses that I use all the time to need those. Every once in a while, like I'll hand plane something down real quick, like to flush up inlay or whatever, but it's
Yeah.
not like to make something flat. And it's nice to just stick something in the dog hole, so it's got to stop.
Yep.
But yeah. So I have dog holes, but I don't use them as much as I thought I would.
Mhm.
But yeah, the front vise and um, yeah, that's really the main thing. Like it's so nice to, if I've got like a big work piece and I want to sand an edge of something and make sure that I'm holding the sander flat, it's a
Mhm.
lot easier for that to be upright, vertical, and like
Mhm.
eye level where I'm, going
Versus
across
holding it on the side of the table and then your
and
hand
holding the
hand
sander
goes
to the
up.
side.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So it's good for that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll have to choose because I've got there are 4 modules that are
Mm.
gonna latch together to kinda square up the whole top.
How are you gonna
Because
get them? How are you gonna get them to like when you latch them together be like level?
yeah,
Not
so that is probably the hardest thing that I don't have a solution to yet, but so I've got 2 built so far.
Mhm.
I just needed 2 made so I could get going on the barn door, and then I'll kind of finish the last few,
Mhm.
after that's delivered, but, when I have the 2 sitting next to each other, due to the floor, there's
Yeah.
a slight lip, probably 16th or an eighth, like, it's not terrible, but as soon as if I put a clamp on the top and the bottom, they square up.
Okay.
So so if I so I've got 8 wheels, right, on the 2 modules because it's 4 each.
Mhm.
So there are a couple wheels off the ground then because I'm lifting part of it, but then it's still on the 4 main wheels, the
I
4
see.
corners and everything's solid. So I got these latches on Amazon they're just like an eye bolt that kind of hook over and hook to a latch, and then you pop closed, and you can
Oh,
adjust the eye bolt nut with it's a threaded with a little nut. So I should be able to adjust my reach there, and then as long as I install the latches with everything square, I'm hoping it can pull everything square together. And then I don't think I'm going to be taking them apart that often.
okay.
So I'll just when I go to clamp them, I'll make sure we're square, and then so I'll have at least a latch on the top and bottom of the front, and I think I
Yeah.
need to get another 8 or I have 3 seams, so I have 6 total. If I do front, top, and bottom of the front side, and then I'll probably get some for the back side as well to be able to just latch top and bottom of all the units, and then it becomes one table, and then I can pop them apart if I ever need a divide to suspend a piece or whatever. So
cool. That'll be super nice to have.
yeah, I'm looking forward to that because that's before it was one big flat table, which was amazing because it was one big flat table and I could put any board. It was a 4x8 sheet that was like dead flat. So then I could put a 10-foot board diagonally and see that everything was flat.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of miss it, but I don't because there's no function to the bottom at all.
Yeah.
But that'll be good. I'll have drawers in each one, and something functional on the backside of each one as well. So
very cool.
Yeah. Do you have a tool drop, like one of those inlaid areas to let tools sit underneath the work surface?
I see what you're saying. I do not. No. I think I tossed the idea around when I was building my bench that I do have that split in the middle, and just kind of thought I'm somebody who already like just leaves stuff around, and like once I'm done with a project is when I go clean everything up and put them back where they're supposed to be. So like I know that if I had that split, then my tools just get covered up and I can't get to them. So so I didn't want to even do that to myself.
That makes sense. I think I'm gonna put one in one of the modules, just because all the time on that big table that I had, I'd have a tape, a pencil, a square, whatever I've got sitting up there, and then I go to put a panel up or clamps, like a clamped piece, and then I'm like, oh shit, and then you put that down, you got to move those, and then now I can put it up, and then I'm like, where did I put the tape? So I think if I just have a spot, I'll at least know where everything is faster.
Sure.
And I can do less walking around. And then even if it kind of gets piled up with stuff every once in a while, I'll still get to refresh it every end of project.
Sure.
I think I'll do one. And it'll only be like 24 by 5 inches or something.
So. Yeah, nothing too crazy. But yeah, that'd be let me know how that goes if you decide to do that.
Yeah. I'm still on the fence, but I think I have enough stuff floating around that just gets in the way. I need a spot to throw it. So I can feel the doom in my voice when I'm saying that. I'm like, I'm just gonna throw everything in there. So but that's kind of organized.
You gotta try it out to see what you do and don't like. Yep.
Yeah, so that's the full shop update.
Cool.
Are there any changes to your shop that you're gonna make before your next one?
I think I think you asked me that before. One of the things I want a cart for like a shop vac, so I can go around and get the weird places that collect dust. Other than that, I do not have a cabinet right now underneath my table saw that I would like to have, just to keep all my blades and all the different crosscut sleds that I've got kind of just like sit in a pile right now under there. That's always a pain when I need a certain one. So yeah, organize that a little bit. Otherwise, no, I think I'm just really getting ready to lean into some of my own projects that do not have a customer in mind.
There you go.
See how that goes, because I have not yet made something for myself since I've started this business, and so I want to see if that's going to make me go further down the detail rabbit hole, or my intuition is maybe that it'll just be like, all right, this is good enough for me, and then I can treat customer projects to that same degree, and then I won't feel like I never have enough time. I hope it's that one.
Yeah, because maybe it'll help you set realistic expectations because you're happy with it already, and then you know that other people will be too.
Right. Yeah. So that's really like all that's on my mind is what can I make for me around the house that I'll just enjoy looking at on a regular basis. That's got me excited.
Yeah. I was trying to get this coffee table passed by my design lead, my wife, for our living room. And I think I mentioned that, a couple episodes ago. And it was gonna be made of white oak because I had some material in the shop and everything, and then we got this barn door out of white oak. So that material's gone now.
Yeah.
So that coffee table's on the back burner. But there is a certain I have a impatience with personal projects because it's like, why am I taking this long on my own stuff? I'm not getting paid for this, so it's hard because then it's only a portfolio piece. That's the only way I can see it if I know it's staying there. But the easy way to combat that I've had at least is I'll still post it and then for sale, post the actual
Sure.
piece for sale. And then if somebody were to buy it, you just post it enough that after you're done making it, then you post it, on your website or whatever it is. And then if it's something that you'd actually want to build again, and then just price it at a point where you're like, well, if I had to give mine up for 2 weeks to let myself build another one, that'd be fine. And then you're set, because if nobody buys it, oh, well, it's just sitting there, which is kind of what happened with, I built a bar cart. That was one of the first things I posted on my Instagram, becoming Whiskey Woodshop, I guess. Just like a crappy bar cart. I feel bad. It wasn't that bad, but it was poplar from Menards, as you do. This is good. I'm going to ask you one of your first projects after this. So start thinking about that. But this bar cart was 3/4 poplar that you get, and it's shrink wrapped from Menards, back when I didn't have a planer, and, cut it all on a crappy table saw, and screwed it together and covered the screws with dowel holes, and it worked. But I stained it dark walnut because that's what you do with poplar.
Yeah.
And I probably put polyacrylic on it, the water-based poly.
Yeah.
And had it at home for a little while, and then I posted it for $300 because I was like, that'd be crazy if I got $300 for this, because it's not great. It's fine. And it sat and sat and sat, and nobody bought it. And I was like, oh, well. So we had glasses on it kind of in the corner, and it looked nice. It was just over there. And then all of a sudden somebody bought it, and I was like, oh, sorry. We got to find somewhere for this glasses because I got to, ship this across the country. So I had to build a crate for this crappy bar cart and then ship it. And that was like a year after and so I was already so far leveled up that while I'm shipping this, I was like, oh no, this is, it's fine, but it's not good, So my brand was definitely not stamped on that one.
Sure. Yeah.
What about you? Anything similar?
Yeah, I don't think I've had anything that I just kept and used and then somebody wanted. But I'm still carrying around this table. It's just I don't know, 36-inch, maybe 3 foot by 1.5 foot walnut plank that I just stuck hairpin legs onto, and I polyed it. I think 1 coat of poly, and
Nice.
I just needed it sealed. So when I brought it to shows, it was another piece to have display on, and that's still falling around with me. But I've got a price tag on there for $250, and nobody's ever looked at it because they're looking at my product, so I wouldn't realize that that's for sale, which is fine because I actually need it. And
it's more functional than it's worth for you.
Yeah, but there's so many shows where people oh, and this table, nobody's interested in buying it, but they're like, oh, this is really nice, and just ogling on it, and I'm just in the corner of my booth oh man, I can't even say that I made that.
I forgot that I even, that was a gift from Whiskey Woodchuck. No, that's funny.
There was another one I did for it was a family member, a second cousin or something, that they wanted a bath caddy board, and I made the edges, so it was I don't know, 12 inches wide, again maybe 28 inches, and then I had 3 planks. It was 3 plank glue up, but then the ends had a breadboard end with mitered edges, so it was a trapezoid on the end. And so I had to do biscuits in between that miter joint. And I remember that not going very well, but they were just like absolutely thrilled and just loved it.
I think that's
Yeah,
because they love you.
I think so too, but
A
like,
lot of these pieces, I'm like, honestly, guys, did you look at it? Like, not anymore. Like now, I'll stand by what I do. But like 3, 4 years ago, I'm like,
mhm. Yeah. Other than that, is just kind of I did a headboard for somebody at one time, and that was like way not my brand at all. It was just so I glued up pine 2x6s in like 2 foot sections, and then took a grinder to it and like
ooh, rust.
really distressed it, and then did like a gray stain, and then I whitewashed over it, and then I put like a little bit more like poly over it, so it looks
Yeah,
really cool, but it's just not my
it's just
brand at
not what
all.
we
And
do anymore. Yeah,
I felt like I was delivering a piece of junk, um, but they loved it again. So it's just kind of, it's all subjective, right? And so I got to
I
get
mean, if
used
they
to
love it, it's not like it was junk. Like that's what they
it.
wanted.
Right.
You did it to the T. You know,
Yeah.
you're like, I want you to make me a nice piece of wood and then smack it to shit with a hammer.
Yeah.
Like just take it and beat it up. Yeah, I got away from the rustic stuff too. It
Yeah.
was it's very approachable when you're entering, because it's just pine and you just
Yeah.
nail it together or whatever. So
Yeah. It's just tough. Yeah. It's tough because it's just not what I pictured doing, right? For me, like, it's just not what I pictured spending my time on. And so then how do you, and then you still want to try to make it nice, but that's not actually that's not what their version of nice means. So
sure,
it just gets really confusing.
you have two different goals. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That makes me think of like the people who do the furniture refinish stuff on
Sure.
Instagram or TikTok. They go to
Yeah.
Goodwill or find something on the side of the road and then they upcycle or whatever they call it and they
Hmm.
scrape it with that nasty stuff that takes all the finish off and they scrape it for hours and sand it. It's like I think my wife, I think Cal was like, "Oh, we could try that sometime," and I was like, "I will not,"
You should
because
try
yeah, it's not my thing. I
Yeah.
I get why people do it. Like that's got to be you got to have some turnaround on some of that stuff when you get some nice paint on those pieces, but it's just I don't want to do that.
Paige is into that too, and
Does she do
yeah,
it?
she's done a couple pieces, and they've turned
Oh,
out really great. But it's just like when I look at it, I'm like, that is so much work that I don't want to be doing. Like,
yeah,
good on you. If you ever like need help, I can do that. But yeah, I'm the same way. Like, hands off. This is your thing. That's
yep.
not
I will help you to help you, but not do the whole project.
right.
Just for you, not for the piece at all. Like, cause
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, she hasn't gone that far yet, but we'll see. We'll see if that ends up happening. But it's just a different style. Everybody finds the thing that they're into, like the wood
Yeah.
wall art. Like some people go hard at that stuff. That's pretty wild too. Just a different,
Yeah.
yeah.
Have you ever thought about doing that, or like, would you take somebody up on like what's the term for that? It's like when you're talking about doing like the strips and all the different
Yeah, all
patterns.
the
And just
strips
like,
with the paint and everything.
yeah,
Yeah, probably not.
no,
It's not as functional for me. I
yeah,
could. I'm not into that's almost trim work in my mind, and I'm starting to decline trim work stuff.
sure.
I'm actually supposed to. I actually forgot about this. Thank you for reminding me. I'm supposed to go quote a built-in tomorrow, um, which I'm trying to avoid a bit.
Hmm.
But this is a friend, and I know him pretty well. Um, Good guy, good family. So I'll probably do it if they want to pay. So
Yeah.
it, you know, it's all about who you work for, and I probably won't post a bunch about it just because I don't want it to be the main thing. But if it's
Hmm.
getting me closer to that dust collector we were talking about, I'm
Yeah.
on.
Right.
So
Yeah. Speaking of built-ins, it's been weird. So since we've talked about, I mean, there's been a few episodes where we've talked about like saying no to the types of work that you definitely don't want.
mhm.
Um, it, I'm noticing an interesting, really positive shift in like the way that people are reaching out to me now, because I've been posting so much about this table. It's like really intricate.
Mhm.
And then the last one too, people are starting to now like say, hey, like I've got this project that I'm really interested in. I would love for you to do it, but they're including in their request, they're like mentioning that it seems like it might not be something you're interested in, and
Ah,
it's okay if you're not. Um, and obviously, I love that because then it just makes it so much easier for me to say, yeah, you're right. I'm actually not interested in that, but I'm very quick to like offer like, hey, here are some people who I
yeah,
follow on Instagram who do things like that,
there you go.
and so like everybody's happy in the end. But it's just, the shift has been like people are inserting into their request for a quote from me of like, I understand it might not be what you're into, and so
Mhm.
that so I'm trying to not only like thank those people, but also like thank myself for somehow positioning myself in a way where that's becoming clear to people. So that's a big win that happened this last week.
That's awesome. I mean, that's just clear that people are understanding your brand and what you
Yeah.
want to, you know.
Hmm.
So that that's interesting too, because I'm trying to think what people would say to me. You know, what would they think I don't want to build based on
Mm.
what I post? Um, and I posted about built-ins I've done. Done two, basically three. So I'm not hiding the fact that I've done them, but on this next one, I will probably kind of hide it a little bit, just because. And it's not that I'm embarrassed of it at all. It's just like that's
Not
not
not the
what I
type of
want to
work
do
you're trying to win.
most
Yeah.
of the time. Yeah,
Hmm.
like I can't imagine for a little bit there when I first did. I did like three kitchen cabinets, and I refaced the other 10 in my mom's house, or 12 or whatever it was, and I was like, okay, I could do like a whole kitchen someday. And now I am farther from that than I've ever been after
That's,
making big standalone pieces that are just, oh,
yeah.
sorry, the phone slipped out of the pocket. But
All good.
yeah, it's like after making this last steam vent cabinet, I'm not doing a kitchen ever. I'll pay somebody to do that if
Yeah.
I need one done. So
It's funny when I got into like when I got my LLC, right, and said, okay, I'm officially a business. I remember at that time thinking like, oh man, after I get like really good, like I'm gonna be able to like renovate some of my house with woodworking. And now same thing, just that's nope, I'm gonna pay somebody else
mhm.
to do that. Not interested at all.
That's so funny, like the change.
Yeah.
Like all my doors are solid hardwood now, and before I was making, shaker style Morrison tenon with a floating panel doors and
Hmm.
painting them, and it's like two totally different things, and they're both very valuable. Like they're out there all the time. That door is like classic, but
Hmm.
you know,
Yep. You
not
like
right.
making what you like making. And that.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. I think I would do my own built in again. Like I took a long time on it. Looking back, I did. It was one of those folding door closets with one rod in it. Just like
Sure.
standard. It was two doors that were the accordion door things, um, and ripped those doors off the day we moved in, and then so it doesn't just go straight. It has the opening, and then it goes deeper on each side.
Okay.
So did custom cabinets for each corner because they're wonky, all the angles and everything, and a lower base unit with drawers that have like shoe storage and stuff. So they're like stacked. So you have one drawer face and then hidden drawers and stuff for extra shoes, and then the whole top thing. And like the amount of time and money I think I put into that was pretty ridiculous. But overall, it was like a good, we use it every day, but I don't want to do that in someone else's house. It's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
convenient when it's at my house, but it's kind of like we were talking with that fireplace thing that I was attempting to quote that I had to
Yeah.
decline. It's like I'm gonna have to drive to Minnetonka 4 different times and have all the materials and all my, and spend hours at your house, and I'm not working normal business hours that I can't support that. So it's just not
Hmm.
the work I can do. But
Yeah.
fine with me now.
Right.
Yeah, fine with me.
Yeah. How do you go about getting work as you're finishing up projects?
Yeah, so that's kind of pretty fitting for right now, that question, because just finished that big cabinet and we're kind of on an intermediate project. This barn door
Mhm.
is only going to take 2 weeks or so. So doing that and the workbench is leaving me hungry for something big again. And I get in this weird mindset every time I'm done with a big project. I have a couple weeks of like happiness and just like I keep looking at pictures of it and I stare at it and I love it and I want people to look at it and buy it, but nobody does. So then
Yeah.
I get this itch to like I feel bad that I'm not marketing and selling because I don't know what's going to be next and I need to do that next project. So I had some success earlier in 2023 working in breweries and distilleries, which I thought kind of would go with my brand. When I would outreach to them, the way I got in to a lot of these spots, I did like 4 or 5 jobs for different breweries and distilleries in the cities here in Minneapolis. So the way I got in is I just made a whole long list of the 200 breweries in the area,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd email 15 at a time. And it was a generic email that I copy pasted, but would make somewhat relevant to each business by just changing a couple little things so I could get the 15 emails off within like an hour. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and the gist of it is, hey, I'm a woodworker. I think what you do aligns with my mission, which is, what they do is they provide a space for people to get together over a drink and share a good memory or a good moment. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of what I try to with everything I build. I want people to have a good moment with friends or family, right? Invite somebody over, open your liquor cabinet, pour them a drink, and have a laugh or whatever. So that's where I want to be, is in like the good moments in the house. So I think of all companies out there, you could say coffee shops kind of get close to that, but I think breweries and distilleries embody that the most, where they just, they're there to, it's not like a bar where you're there to get drunk, but it's about the beer, but it's also about the family and the community. People are playing board games, they're bringing their
Like to
dogs.
hang out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good vibe. So my email, I just had a list. It was called Colds, and it was just a million, well, not a million, like 200 different breweries and distilleries, and I would just pick away at them. And then I had probably 10 come back asking for some kind of quotes. So then all my first round quotes are free, and then if they modify from there, I add a little bit to the quote without them seeing, so they know. So that way, I don't
Mm-hmm.
feel bad that I wasted all my time doing the renderings in Fusion or something. I'm getting
Sure.
something if they end up going through with it, which we've talked about already. So, um, yeah, we got some jobs done, and that was super nice because work kept coming then. But then I kind of exhausted my list of breweries, and if they
Okay.
don't need anything built, they don't need anything built. Like they're
That,
not.
so that's what I was going to ask, like in terms of like your pipeline, or like what's coming down. So like the people who had the fireplace and all the other stuff, was
Yeah,
that like a referral, or they just found you, or that came from
sure.
like a one of your marketing pieces, or how did they find you?
Yeah, so that came a bit later. So I started with these breweries and the emails, and then I
Yeah.
moved to interior designers and I emailed.
Oh,
So
okay.
I
So
emailed a bunch of interior designers, got some bites, but no real sales. The breweries and
mhm,
distillers, I had sales, but the interior designers, at least the ones on my list, which I think I had around 300 of those, they
sure.
all seemed to be legit enough that they already had a guy or something
Ah, okay.
for furniture. So then how do you squeeze in? You need to find the person just getting started, that kind of thing. So that seemed to take some time. So I'm still working on some interior designers, trying to get in
So,
the
but it's
community.
the same type of effort where you're doing cold calls. So do
Yeah.
you think like the majority of your work is from doing that?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
probably.
that's pretty cool. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, some people are just really receptive to that. And if I write the email right, it's, it's, um, it's unapologetically demanding with humility,
Hmm.
if that makes sense. It's like,
Yeah.
I can build this for you. What do you need? I like what you do. Da 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 da. So it's like I'm here. Hey, and that's basically what the email is supposed to be.
Yep.
And I tried to tweak it a little bit with all the marketing books that I've kind of tried to read, but overall, the cold emails. worked really well with breweries and distilleries, but not with interior designers, which is interesting. And I
Mhm.
think I need to actually get on the phone and talk to them. Hey, I'm a real person, or go meet them, you know. But that takes time, and their business hours are hard for me just because of work, right?
Sure.
So,
I mean, and my understanding of like an interior designer too, like is they're working for a client to decorate a house or whatever,
right,
and then they're going to come to you with like a custom order that's their idea.
exactly.
That's a totally different thing than I think what you're mostly trying to do too.
Yeah, a little bit. So this is the kind of story I'm telling here with the breweries and then the interior designers is kind of like
Yeah.
my change over time of target
Okay.
customer.
Oh, okay. Got it.
So I think to this day I still don't have my target customer flushed out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of been, and I think that's okay because I'm trying to figure out
Yeah.
where what I work best with and what fits sales. I just honestly, it always comes back to I need to sell. I need to
Mhm.
get that next piece so I can at least make my decision of target customer.
Sure. Yeah.
So if I had something to support me for a little while, then I could figure out what I like and don't like. So the breweries and distilleries was pretty cool, where I can at least come up with concepts and give them to them. They tweak them. With an interior designer, yes, you're right. Like they're gonna say, I want something like this, and then I would give them something similar, but hopefully put my spin on it, which
Mm-hmm.
is you're going to get some of that from residential people as well. Like you're taking
Mm-hmm.
in their ideas and trying to make it a piece versus not the purist, like I want a piece from Whiskey Wood Shop. He can do what he wants with it, and then I'll buy it because I like his work. I haven't had any of that. So I think that's a lot of people's ultimate goal for like pure custom woodworking,
Mm-hmm.
where there's a combination here. So with the interior designers, I was going for, do you have stuff you just want even quoted? Like, are you working on custom pieces anywhere? I'll do a vanity, like a bathroom vanity would be kind of fun, like a nice custom vanity that's like a luxury one or something, or like a
Yeah.
vanities, coffee tables, dining tables, bar cabinets, china cabinets, lame. Uh, you know, that kind of stuff. So that would be the pitch that I had. And I had some people say, "Hey, yeah, I would be interested in a local craftsman. I just don't have any stuff right now. Keep me on your list." So then
Mm-hmm.
I follow up with them about every 3 months, and that gets to kind of why it's valid today. I sent a few people some, "Hey, checking in, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. I still exist. How are you doing?" So sent some of those today. But with the interior designers, I didn't get a ton of bites, and I think that was either my email worded poorly, or
Sure.
they don't receive emails well. That
Mm.
industry might just work differently. It might have a different vibe to emails compared to a brewery. So I think phone call or face to face would have been more effective, probably for everybody. But then I worked on marketing material in a form of a portfolio
That's
or
right.
a
The brochure. Yeah.
brochure. Thank you.
We talked about that.
Yeah. So I had the brochure that was after I finished the Manhattan cabinet, and that was basically a discount on the cabinet. And it
Existing
was,
one. Yeah.
yeah, and then it showed all the options. You can choose your material. We've already talked about that, right? So
Mm-hmm.
then you can mail it in or even just contact me and we can set it up, and it would still be worth it for me because I want to make my second one with the design changes that I want. And that's to get back to more my signature design side versus fully custom, to where this would be something I could batch out in like threes or fives or something
Mm-hmm.
to provide sales and kind of work on the manufacturing process, which is something kind of fun as an engineer, working on processes. So um,
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of trying to feed that goal. And then, so I sent them to the interior designers that had reasonable responses, like some kind of bite. I sent the brochure to, but then I also found new homeowners.
Ah.
And so this might be a little creepy. This is just going through my whole path of marketing that I'm testing out and trying. So it's going to be, I'm about, I'm most of the way through. So with the brochures, I found on Zillow you can search by recently purchased.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So went recently purchased within the last 30 days. And if it was, I think I did 750 grand or more for the house. Just to like, because I know my target market for this kind of bar cabinet
Mm-hmm.
isn't somebody who just bought a apartment, like their first apartment. That's going to be super hard. You're not decorating like that. You're not. This is for the middle aged adult who wants a fancy looking cabinet. Basically,
Mm-hmm.
that's the idea of the target customer for that cabinet. So I sent, I think, 100 of those brochures, and I got the one response, and that was how I got into the house in Minnetonka.
Okay.
Fireplace bids, and so then they, instead of wanting that cabinet, because the dimensions weren't perfect for their house.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, their windows, they don't have a empty wall without a window at that height. So like there's
Okay.
really not really a good spot to put it, which is
Sure.
going to happen, right? So then I went and quoted the fireplaces, and then the other bar cabinet for a different corner, shorter for the windows issue, and
Okay.
other things. And then I'm still on the hook for that. So I have not heard a no, and I have not heard a yes. So waiting on that
Yeah.
one. So
So that's
that
it. Yeah, that's cool. That man, a lot of hard work from your end. That's impressive.
I'm just trying to find the target market, So
Yeah.
um, and then when it came to the steam vent cabinet, that was a basically a referral in a way.
Mhm.
My sister, right? So um, she gave me what she wanted, and then I tweaked it a little bit to make it a little closer to what I would want to build, and then built it. And that one is probably my favorite piece. So even though it wasn't from the depths of my soul, it was still super fulfilling in a way.
Well, yeah, because I mean the relationship's good, right? So there's a level of trust on both sides, so you know you're gonna get to do what you want, and even if it's bad, which it
She
would
won't yell at
wouldn't
me.
be,
Yeah.
right? Like it's still gonna
No.
be a
Yeah.
good experience. Yeah.
Mhm.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. So have you had any like just somebody out of the blue said, "Hey, I want can you quote this for me?"
Yeah, I've had some weird ones that, but not real.
Have
Like
you
not
have you not you haven't like actually built a project from that type of
nothing
request?
built from a Instagram DM or a website.
Hmm.
No.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, we have very different paths in that
Wow.
regard. Very so not that you asked, but I'll tell you kind of
Yeah, I
how
wanna hear it.
yeah, how it all started for me. So I think a couple different things as you're telling that like so basically what you just described and the way you've gone about it is like my living nightmare. I don't that's just like I don't want to do any of that. Like cold
Yeah.
calling, I get anxious just thinking about the
Hey,
concept of that.
the email's not bad, man.
Yeah, email's not bad. I could see myself doing that. Figuring out like target audience like you, I'm still kind of like I'm still working on that. At
Mhm.
least it feels that way. I think I think the customers know better who I'm going towards than I know who
Sure.
I'm going for, right? But yeah, I think so. So one of the major factors that's different was I started off thinking that like shows were going to be like art fairs and things were going to be, you know, like half of my income. And just because like I wanted to make some of this like small stuff, which I'm still interested in, and I like sometimes like batching those and like seeing the difference and getting the efficiency that I want. Like that's really what's driving that is like, can I make this a really efficient process and like look at my margin per item
Right.
and tell myself that I'm improving and going to be able to make a living on this. So that's like
Right.
a really easy, direct way to do that for me. And so, and then in between getting gearing up for shows and then I'm working on either like, I think I've always had people who know me wanting me to make something custom.
Mhm.
And so I've always had a queue ready. I've never actually felt a pressure of I don't even know what I'm going to work on and nobody needs anything right now. Which
Mhm.
like I like I'm trying to take a second to just have like a lot of gratitude for that. But
Yeah.
a lot of times I lose sight of that. Um, yeah, so yeah, give me a second here, because that's it. Yeah, because what you described is my living nightmare, and I haven't had to deal with that yet. Is
Mhm.
something that I need to give myself a lot more compassion for. Um, but yeah, so I've had requests from Reddit. I've had requests from Instagram. I've had requests from like Imgur. I was posting stuff on Imgur at one point, and like,
Wow.
so it's usually like as I'm posting and like here's a new pattern. It's almost always when I'm like I'm just experimenting and seeing what else I can do in the shop. Then there'll be somebody who reaches out to me and be like, "Ooh, I want that, but on this."
Mhm.
And so I think most of my custom orders have been from people who just saw my work and then said, "Hey, can you make me something like that?" And I haven't had to do any like cold calling or like even following up and be like, "Hey, do you remember that time that we were
Yep.
talking about this? Like, are you ready now?" I think I've done that maybe one single time, but it was a project I wasn't even excited on. It was like a friend of a friend who I felt like I was doing
Ah,
a favor for.
yeah, kind of the
Um,
obligation and stuff.
yeah, and so yeah, I think it's starting to be clear to me that if I continue to do shows and just do my experiments, when I do custom orders, they're also like 3 months to 6 months to this table was a year. So
Mhm.
like I'm getting requests inside of a year, and then I can kind of pick and choose when that clears up and say, all right, here's the next exciting one. So yeah, that's a very different path, but
Very.
I haven't put a lot of energy into trying to make that be different. It's just kind of how it's been going.
Mhm.
And I think that's yeah, I can't really attribute what that's from, but
Yeah.
I think there's a big difference when I'm spending a lot of time gearing up for shows and like then I have a lot of product to post and then that gets a lot of new followers and like engagement and
Yeah.
then so a lot of organic growth too. So
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know what
I
else to say about it.
I think part of it is I've been hesitant to build anything that I can't sell because
Mm,
it's just
mm,
money, right? So like the
right.
benefit with your shows is you're able to kind of like stock up in a way, and
Mhm.
I'm not trying anything until I have something to pay for it.
Yeah,
Right? So like I did some side tables, and I don't even know, like at this point I think that might be out of my target customer anymore.
hmm,
I was thinking I want to sell side tables, anything you can set a drink on, right? Um, but I posted them, and I sold a pair to my in-laws, because they want to support me, right? So,
yeah,
but it's funny because I wasn't able to, like, I'm not modifying them, I'm not doing different designs, I'm not making more and more side tables because I've got 6 side tables sitting downstairs in
sure,
my in family room, and that's about all we need. If I make more, they're just gonna collect dust in the corner somewhere until they're sold. And maybe the design is great, but I don't know that yet. And then I got to spend the money on the wood and the time. So I'm only searching for that thing that keeps the business rolling
sure,
rather than just fully investing in. And the Manhattan cabinet was kind of an attempt to go away from that and just, this is what I want to make,
yeah,
and just try to make one and then sell it. And since it didn't sell, that was part of it too. So
mm,
uh, I think it might be that I look like I've got something I'm about to build a lot, and I kind of it's kind of a front where I don't have a lot of
mm,
stuff on the list next. And I think part of it too, maybe it's my age or something, because I know none of my friends own a house, or they either live with their parents or they're in an apartment, and they're just starting their careers, so they don't really have the funding to go for
yeah,
custom furniture yet.
that makes a
And
difference.
yeah, so my sister's a little older, and she's in a house now, and she's they're getting set up, and so
Mhm,
like it's a different stage of life where I'm trying to, all the people I know closely that would maybe purchase something just to support me are either like family friends, that would maybe be in a different income class. That sounds bad, but like people that my family grew up with
Yeah.
compared to the target market that I'm building for. So maybe if I was building like more rustic type stuff or more, um, just
Well, so I'm trying to think of like different ways for you to break into like your current network, right? Or because
yeah,
like I do appreciate and understand like when I was early 20s, mid 20s, I still am not in a place where I would buy a fancy piece of
right.
furniture, right? But
Neither would
like
I. Yeah.
I think so now that I'm looking back at how I started, it was because I was making a lot of cutting boards, I was making boxes, I was
Mhm.
making small stuff where people would then like see that I already do that and then request that. And so then I'd make a lot of those little things, and then the word of mouth is just exponentially bigger now,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
I've got 10 friends that have their 1,000 people that they know that
Mhm.
they're telling,
Mhm.
and so it just kind of explodes that way. Um, and so I'm wondering, is there a smaller thing that's still in your brand that you can show off your skills and make five of,
Mhm.
and like do it in a way how you would do it on your larger furniture? And
Yeah.
I know furniture is the end goal, but if you're like in that like growth, like let's get more attention to me, and like you're killing it on the cold sales side, like honestly, like you
Not
are.
really though.
So I mean, well, it depends. So like it depends on how you look at it.
Yeah.
So when I
If
was,
you took a percentage of my total sales, sure. But if
yeah,
you took a percentage of the cold, although I suppose I bet you the people who cold call all day, they only get one.
yeah. So that's what I was about to say. So back in my old life at an engineering job, I was an estimator at one point for, we worked with the biggest medical companies in the metro, and Minnesota is really big for medical.
Mhm.
And like I think our win percentage on quotes, and so this is business to business. So this isn't even client to buyer. This is
Sure.
business to business. And so we know they need this product. And
Yeah.
our win percentage was like 1%,
Oh
2%.
my goodness.
So
Yeah.
like, so like that's a real thing. It's just that you have to deal with.
Yeah.
Um, so I imagine that business to client is probably even a smaller percentage, especially
Mhm.
with what we're trying to do here. So like you're killing it. Like honestly, like the amount of effort that you put in and like already seen some like
Mhm.
return on investment of time there is like really, really good. But I wonder how you could supplement that with like something smaller. I'm using the
Yeah.
same like furniture techniques, but here's something that is a little more accessible to everybody, and
Mm.
just like experiment with that. Like I don't even know what that would be, but
Honestly, maybe I gotta go deep into the side tables again then, because
well,
they're really not.
what's
Yeah.
smaller than a side table that's like, I mean, yeah, now it's not furniture, but like
Yeah. So I
also,
kinda.
here's another thought
Yeah.
of like how you could still expose more of what you do in, but not actually having something to build yet because you don't have the space to store it.
Mhm.
You said you really like CAD. Like what if you just did like, I don't know, somehow like a contest of like, here are the top 5 CAD things I want to do,
Mhm.
and like post like a lot about what went into the designs, why you're deciding this, and like see if you can't like hitch on a buyer as that process is going through,
Mm.
and see if there's like, try to get engagement in terms of like, all right, I'm building one of these 5. Part of it, like I kind of know which one I like, but see if you can't like get
Yeah.
your followers involved and like,
Yeah. So that's a really good idea, partially because then I'd even be considering like it's a giveaway in the fact that all you gotta do is pay for materials on or like something like that to where I could bite on another big project. Granted, I don't wanna take more of these where they only pay for materials,
mhm,
but, I could do something like that where because that is the part that I like the best is the design and like the little details that are trying to make it better.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I can focus on that within what I'm posting, and then I can catch somebody's eye who also likes the design portion. Yeah.
I mean,
I
like, yeah.
also I thought about this is kind of funny. So like I have a coworker who you can tell he kind of wants to buy something from me, but he's like he doesn't really know, if he actually wants to or what he wants. So if he's listening to this, what's up, Adam? Anyway, he mentioned to me like have you ever made like a shuffleboard table?
But those are sweet.
No.
I'd love to make
Yes.
them.
So that's what he asked me. And I was like, no, but I totally would. Like I could, jazz that up a little bit as long as I put like somewhere you can set a drink on brand. So, um, he was thinking like, oh, but I don't know where I put it. Never mind. That kind of thing. So it's like, I almost want to just fully design one, like just take the time,
Yeah.
just give him a quote and say, hey, so this is what I would charge, but I don't know if this is anywhere near what you'd want to do, but I would do this for this. And this is a sweet piece. I want to build it. Up to you. No pressure. So I
What
kind
if,
of want to just throw a quote at him and just see what happens.
so crazy idea, maybe vulnerable.
Just
What if,
build it.
what if you just threw a quote at your Instagram and just said, I really would love to build this. Is there anybody out there who would want this for this price?
Yeah, I mean, that might
To play
happen.
around with that idea, like I
I mean,
think
that's kind of what the website's trying to do. I don't know if you checked out my website,
I
but
haven't in a while.
yeah.
I should
So
do.
there's a section where I go into the bigger furniture,
Mm-hmm.
and I have the Manhattan cabinet, and then I have what's called the sidecar cabinet and the old fashioned cabinet. So all my cabinets are going to be named after a whiskey drink,
Mm-hmm.
branding. Okay. So the sidecar cabinet is kind of like a sideboard kind of thing, like a hut, like a buffet or whatever
Yeah.
it's called in old furniture. Um, so that's like I have models up there and concepts for what I want to build. Like I want to build that. That's one of my designs, and I've got a price there and what it is, and it says get in line. So then if you just put your email in there or like your I forget even what you have to enter, but then it
Sure.
just tells you that it emails me saying that you're interested, and then I would be able to talk to you about it. Maybe we could, work on the design to make it more fit you or, all that kind of stuff. So I probably haven't promoted that in my Instagram.
Well, I was
People,
just thinking like too, because without having real pictures of a project like that yet,
yep.
you're not. It's difficult to build trust with somebody who you're not having a conversation with
Mm-hmm.
around that thing. So like I've noticed, so like I've tried some build to order type listings on my website, and I've never gotten a single click on any of
Yeah.
them.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I was trying to think of like what could make that more attractive, and like yeah, what if you just said this is something I really want to build, like, and people just
Yeah.
knew,
Just
like
honesty there.
I
Yeah.
think that changes it because I think then people are like, oh, he's also acknowledging that he hasn't built one yet,
Yeah.
and maybe there's room to like have a conversation about expectations and like I know you say it's this price, but like what's that based on? Like it might, and then you could
Sure.
at least that opens up a door for you to be like, well, I actually know that maybe I'm even a little low here,
Sure.
but because I haven't built it, like I've been waiting for this type of opportunity. So like there's some give and take potentially, right? So like that's how I treated my first gaming table was like I knew my quote was lower than I wanted it to be, but it was a number I was okay, not only because it was a portfolio piece,
Mm-hmm.
but also like they like because I was like, hey, I've never done something this big before, and
Mm-hmm.
like I'm really trying to get my name out there. Like they just loved it. They were like, this is amazing that we get to be that client for you, and like
Yeah.
it made it a lot easier. And so yeah, just play around with that. Like I wonder. I think
That's a good
that
idea. That's a really good idea.
cool.
Yeah, because I mean that'll get me more to what I actually want to do faster than making a million side tables that nobody wants to buy.
and just hoping. Yeah. And kind of just, tell people what you want.
Yeah. Yeah. And I try to kind of, I've posted some CAD, but the renders only do so good, you know?
Yeah. There's that too.
And I kind of just post it. When I do post it, it's just kind of trying to show what I will provide if I quote. Like it's not a perfect render. Like, doesn't look real, but like you can tell it's a piece of furniture, right?
Yeah.
So I try to make it have some kind of form and function just to show you what the piece is, so you can
Yeah.
actually tell what it is, and that's what you get with every quote. But it's about that target customer, which
Bring your personality to it. Like,
yeah,
are you talking about it, or are you just like, hey, this is what you're gonna get? Like, that's one type of post, right? Like, that's
yeah,
a very like, if you're the type of customer who just needs to know what you're gonna get, here's the post for you. If you're the type of person who wants to work with somebody and know that they're really excited about working on something and like talking back and forth, then do a post where it's the same video, but you're just like, I really like this thing because, like, I chose to make this design feature because, like, so for instance, here, I actually happen to have this sitting here.
Oh my goodness, show and tell.
Got a cribbage board.
Oh my goodness, yeah,
Um,
I
it's sitting
respect it.
here.
I would never make that.
It's sitting here because the cap that I had, one of the magnets was the wrong polarity, so the cap
Oh
didn't stay, and
yeah.
so it's like a to do later. But so like at shows, people get super excited where I'm just like, oh yeah, pick it up and take the pegs out because there's a magnet cap, and I always like explain, I've always really hated that little metal slide. Like I was messing with it, you can lose it easily. Like I've just always hated it, so I designed it this way. And people are like, that's been like the thing that sold some boards is just me saying that. So that's why I'm bringing up what I'm saying is just like you can bring more of your personality to it other than just this is how the process goes.
Yeah. Or just the why behind the design, which I haven't done. I've done, this is the design, look at it.
Yeah.
But like, why did I make the decisions I made? Or at least for me, that would be interesting because that's what I like.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Lots of takeaways right now. I'm just like,
there's a lot of dimensions to all of this, right? And
yeah, get hot, get it.
it's hard to know what to focus on, and I'd say that's my weak point is I don't know where to focus. But like talking to you, you're obviously not my first person. You're a third person to like, or second person talking directly to you. It's easier for me to say, okay, based on your goals and what you're talking about, I can see something that you're too close to the
Sure.
situation. So that's another reason I just love having this conversation with you every week.
Yeah.
Because you're doing the same thing to me often. It's usually emotional stuff that I'm just in my own way. But
I do the same thing, man. I do the same thing. Yeah, and it's funny with the cold emails too. Like literally if I send 5 emails every day, and if I don't get like discouraged and I keep up on it, I'll get a job within a month or two. Like it'll happen.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy how that, like, I literally just have to do it, and then so. But then as soon as I get the job, so I'm working on this cabinet. This last, also I keep saying cabinet, and it feels like not a good enough word to describe what it is, and then I'm like, that sounds cheap. But anyway,
I tend to agree.
you do? Okay, what should I call these things?
I have no idea.
Right?
I've heard the term hutch, but that's not really
That
exactly
makes me want
what
to, yeah, cut off my finger on the table saw. This is stupid.
come up with
Hutch.
your own.
Like straight up random word.
Make a new word.
This is a yeah.
Workshop it, but
Yeah. But
next
like
week.
bar
Tell me what you
cabinet.
come up with.
Yeah.
Bar
I
cabinet.
need to workshop that. That's for sure. Bar cabinet. What is a bar cabinet versus a home bar versus a liquor cabinet versus a built-in bar versus a wet bar? There's all this. Yeah. Anyway, whatever I was saying before this was great, but I lost it.
Shoot, my bad.
No, you're good. You're good. It's right here.
We were talking about how you'd get a job within a month if you just
Oh, if I just
I'll
stay
work all
consistent.
day.
But
Yeah.
but then as soon as I was building this hutch bar liquor cabinet thing for my sister, the steam vent cabinet, I stop because I have a job. I'm
Yeah.
good.
Yep.
I don't want to quote anything else because what if they want it soon? And then, but in reality, it's almost more authority to say, "Hey, great, sounds good. I'd love to quote this. I'm going to be busy until roughly X, and then I can take on your job at that time. But here's the quote." That
Yeah.
shows way more. But like I'm scared, like it's an unrealistic fear, like we've kind of talked about. I think about when you post something on a website and you're worried that 300 are going to sell
Yeah.
when they're not gonna. But it's just this when you're clicking that, it's that little fear there too. So like as soon as I start and I'm working through the job and I'm deep in the heat of it where I don't know what's going on for a minute, then it's like I don't want to ask for more jobs because
Right.
I'm busy.
Yeah. I've been like to handle that like type of situation or just like the stress of, I mean, I guess I'm somebody who when I switch functions of what I'm doing, like if I'm spending time in the shop, if I have to suddenly like switch to managing my emails or whatever, like that transition just takes forever for me, like way longer than I like to admit. And so one of the things I've been playing with is like Monday morning
I
is
was
the
literally
is
just
the
gonna say that exact thing.
yeah. So that's the day that I've been trying to just like I respond to everything that needs responding to. I'm warming up to get in the shop for the week.
Yep.
And then if anybody reaches out to me throughout the week, I just say, hey, you know what? Like, thanks for contacting me. Just want to let you know, super busy this week. I'm gonna do my best to get back to you on Monday. Or like, yeah, another thing, like if I'm in a current job, you're definitely right with the authority of I'm in this job right now.
Mm-hmm.
Another way I found it easier for me to say no or set expectations rather than feeling like, ooh, I better win this job, is like I've got this job and I'm actually booked out for the next 4 or 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's true. Sometimes it's a little bit of an exaggeration, but there's a window there for me to get ready for like the next show too. And I
Yep.
never really know how long that's going to take. So it is a real honest answer.
I mean,
But
what are they gonna say? Like, show me, prove it. Take
yeah,
your
and
calendar out.
so
Are you really 4 months out?
I usually am like, I'm, 4 or 5 months out
Yep.
and I think your thing's going to ballpark. And I just kind of like go a little bit higher than I think that's going to be. And
Ooh.
then I end with like, if I haven't reached back out to you in like 3 months and you're still interested, like, please reach out to me if you think of that. And so like that builds up trust, but it also like maybe they were coming into it with like an expectation that my ballpark was way higher.
Yeah.
And so then I've made it so I don't even have to do a quote for something I'm not
Mm-hmm.
going to. So I've been, and sometimes like I have no idea what this ballpark number is going to be. So I know that I'm guessing a little bit high to make sure
Yep.
that I'm not setting your expectations poorly, but here's a ballpark number. So I do a
Mm-hmm.
lot of that lately too. And that's been making it a lot easier for me to handle that stuff.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I just need to be consistent. I still like my outreach portion to where I'm getting in people's inboxes and stuff
Yeah,
that
that's good.
would never know me, and it's really not that hard. Like you can spend an hour if you just search interior designers Minneapolis or Twin Cities or something,
Mm-hmm.
and you just just click on each one, write their email down and their name and address, and then I go follow them on Instagram too. So I
Sure.
have basically just interior designers and a bunch of breweries in my Instagram feed. Um, but then at least I might get a follower out of the email. Like worst
Yeah,
case, oh
that's
no, I got
good.
a follower. So I'm gonna try to keep the burn, just the 5 a day kind of thing.
Yeah,
And
keep those backs, man.
yeah, honestly, I do it right after lunch at work. So, you know, it's a little shady. I'm doing different work at work, but it doesn't take me long to copy paste my cold email, personalize it a little bit, and then hit send 5 times. So
No, I
don't
think I
have to
think
feel too.
I think if anybody at your job knew you were doing that, I think they'd be like, yeah, good on you.
Yeah, I hope so. But yeah, yeah, it's just I get that burn where I feel like I got to go find the jobs, but
Yeah.
um, That's true. I need to kind of bait them to come to me more.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think show them why, right? Like show them what you like to do. Show them more. Yeah, even with not having a job that you're working on, like I think you can. That doesn't mean you don't have content. I fall into that trap a lot for
Mm-hmm.
myself, and
Mm-hmm.
like I'll suddenly it'll be a week before I've posted anything, and my like we talked about last time, my goal is like 2 to 3 times a week. But if I have a tough week where it's hard for me to not sleep in and stuff like that, I get kind of down on myself. My progress is slow. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I don't have anything to post, and it's just not true. It's just the mindset that I'm in.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's about finding different ways to be consistent, trick yourself when you need to. At
Mm-hmm.
least for me.
Yeah. No, it's always a game. Like you have to play a game with your own brain. Like a month from now, because a month from now I'm going to be complaining that I have too many jobs or no jobs, or
Yeah,
like it's going to be.
yeah.
It's always change, and that's the one thing you can count on, right? But
Hmm.
it's just funny to where it's just the attitude. Also, like I'll just share more of the why for the design stuff for sure, because I can. That's the part I'll be comfortable kind of telling why. Like I don't
Yeah,
know why else I want to build it other than it's challenging and it is beautiful and there's some finesse to the function of it. I
but
love that
I would
part.
also say you described to me like some of like your decisions and how here's a shelf, I datoed it rather than whatever. Like you have like a lot of structural mindset too that like I don't see on your page very much. Where like if
Mm,
people knew why you were making the design decisions you were all the time, like they just learn to trust you more too. Like, oh,
yeah,
this guy, yeah, it's a little more expensive, but like this thing's not going to move over time with the
sure.
wood movement, or if something bangs against it, like it's still going to be strong. Like
Yeah.
there's all those design decisions that are going to make people want to work with you.
And that's where I open myself up to the negative comments from woodworkers.
Yeah,
Yeah, but that's engagement. So,
engagement.
so I want to bring up a poll I posted on Instagram. Did you see it?
Was it in your stories?
Yeah, it was in my story. So I'll just briefly
Right.
tell it for a second. So I posted a picture of myself with my dog in front of the Manhattan cabinet.
Yeah.
What that was while the videographer was there and it was lit up a little better. So we got that picture. It's a blurry picture, but I don't care because the dog's cute. Uh,
Hmm.
and so I posted a poll that said, and I like to post like cheeky, stupid polls a lot that like
Hmm.
don't have real answers. So the question was, and so it was me like biting the dog's ear, and the dog had her tongue out, and so I posted, who is the star of this photo? And it was the top of that guy's head, which is my head, because you can't see my face in the picture because I'm biting the dog's ear. Uh, that fake tree, because there was a tree next to the cabinet, that fancy bar cabinet, and then the cutest pup I've ever seen, or something, right?
Hmm.
So the cutest pup I've ever seen obviously won because that was like the whole point of the post is look at the cute dog. But then, and I knew some people would be stupid and vote for the stuff that obviously wasn't the right answer because I'm trying to promote the dog at this point, but also have the
Yeah.
cat there. I was looking for something to post. It's a fun post. But the saddest part, and so on my personal page, I voted for the top of that guy's head because I thought that was funny. So I voted for that, and so did a decent amount of people. And then people voted for the fake tree, which is the obvious loser in this situation. And then only 9% of people voted the fancy bar cabinet, and that's like funny, but also I'm
Shoot.
like what the heck, like guys, like this is my work, like that I'm trying to. So I was kind of sad about that.
So follow it up. Do part two and take more variables out and see if you can't get people to vote for the cabinet. And
So just okay, what's your favorite thing? The tree or the cabinet? People will go for the cabinet and then or the tree and I'll be distraught.
all
No,
right, new one. There's
it was
no
half
tree here now.
it was half funny and half like, oh no. And like you can see who voted for what. So there weren't a ton of votes. So I just kind of peeked at who voted for the cabinet, and it was like woodworkers. And I was like, okay. And then a bunch of the people that voted for the stupid stuff, like the fake tree or my head, were like friends. So I'm like, okay, like understand the audience that's actually voting here. But it was like, guys, the puppy was the obvious answer here. But
good content.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know. People are rejecting the cabinet. Maybe it's not as good as I like it, but
it's giving you a hard time because you set it up that way.
I did set myself up for it. I did not realize it.
I think it would be funny to just lean into, hey, why don't you guys vote and do the same picture but have like a poster of a tree instead of the real tree, like poorly drawn.
This sounds like a lot of work.
You have to vote for that.
No, I'll repost the poll, but then do just different versions of the cabinet. Who's the star of this photo? That fancy bar cabinet, that fancy liquor cabinet, that home bar, that, I'll just do like, and then you have to vote for the cabinet no matter what.
There you go.
Maybe I'll do that.
Oh, all right. Fanciest, what's the best part of this cabinet? The door, the shelf? There you go.
There you go. Yeah.
Too good.
Instagram.
So it's a place.
It's like the only place. It's the only one that's left that I like going on.
Yeah.
TikTok's out for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
YouTube's intimidating.
YouTube is?
Just the length. It's just intimidating. I posted some shorts to it, but then I forget and then I just leave it.
Yeah, it's super intimidating, but it's a thing I'm resolute in that I will start using it. Just don't know when.
I mean, these will be up there somewhere too, so I guess I will.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's right. How weird. Still haven't adjusted to what that's going to be like yet. We'll see it.
Yeah, we haven't had the people in our own lives reflecting on the podcast. So we've talked about it, but I'm very intimidated and nervous about that. But
it's going to be great. It's going to be a perfect ground for growth, a rich soil for growth.
You have a good outlook. I think if anybody tries to talk to me about it, I'm just going to walk away.
Sure.
Like, what? No.
So that's an appropriate response.
In person, just oh man, I listened to the podcast. No.
Don't tell me.
No, you didn't. Whatever I said, that was a while ago. So it's all But I mean, I still think it's valuable, and I'm never hanging up the phone with you here and being like, that one wasn't worth it. Right?
No, this has been great. Exactly what the doctor ordered.
Mr. Sales after this.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm not even going to have to sell. They're going to come to me.
Yeah, I think that's in your future for sure. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. Sounds good.
All right. Same time next week.
Nice talking to you, Brian.
Yeah.
Good luck
too.
with your install tomorrow.
Thank you.
I would like a picture.
I'll send you a picture. I'll be too excited.
I'm excited to see it. Hope everything goes as smoothly as it can.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I don't want to have my own version of the glass panel that fell out, but you never know.
That was okay at the end of the day.
Yeah,
it worked out.
Yeah,
but if it broke, different story. Anyway,
take it easy.
Later.
Thanks for tuning in this week. We'd be having these conversations with or without you because we get a lot of value out of this and we learn and grow together, but we're glad that you're here as well.
Yes, please let us know what you think of the podcast by leaving a review or a rating, but also comment or share with your friends in the woodworking or small business community. I'm Matt from Whiskey Woodshop.
And I'm Brian of Boss Man's Boutique.
Thanks for
listening.